Hello, one and all. My name is Taylor Baraney, and I'm an assistant editor for CleanLink.com and our sister publications. This Clean Tips discussion dives into the power of partnerships, specifically how strong relationships between distributors and end users drive long-term operational success. Joining me is Nathan Henderson, Director of Housekeeping for Fiserv Forum, home of the Bucks. Henderson brings over 20 years of housekeeping and industry experience, including leadership roles at Freighter Hospital and Touchpoint Support Services. Henderson and I will explore Fiserv Forum's winning partnership with NASCO Inc., as well as share actionable strategies on how facility managers can build equitable, productive partnerships at the onset. Let's get started. So just to start, giving the example of your partnership with NASCO, how long have you been working in a partnership with NASCO?
So our building opened in 2018, Fiserv Forum. So that has been an ongoing partnership or relationship um, with them and the Bucks since 2018 when the building was getting ready to open. Sometimes it's all about who you know and the timing of getting your foot in the door. And that goes for any industry or any job, but obviously in sales, I think references and referrals can make a big difference. Just establishing um, an introductory or introduction um, to a company or to a group of people.
And how would you articulate your relationship with them? Is it more like a transactional relationship? Is it more strategic?
Um, a little bit of everything. So we will meet quarterly, if not at least, um, yeah, but I would say quarterly, if not at least biannually, and say, hey, this is where we're at. This is what we did in the last 6 months. Where do you see yourselves going in the next 6 months? If it's from a sustainability standpoint, if it's from a pricing standpoint, they have a great balance, I think, within their team between sales, service, equipment repair, things like that. So it's a one-stop shop where I think one of your questions is what are the relationship with the other departments? And I
Mhm.
can truthfully say I've talked to customer service reps, my sales reps, equipment specialists.
Do you remember why Pfizer formed this partnership with NASCO over other area distributors?
Um, the one big thing I think was the commitment and support directly to the Bucks in the arena. Um, yes, they're local. I think that was a big selling point. So they had a commitment to the Bucks. Our success is their success. Um, but being local, being able to communicate and be supportive. I think one thing they do is listen. I think I mentioned that before, but they listen to what is going on, and they will come out and help diagnose something if it's not going right. One of the stories I got last week was we were getting ready to open, and if you've been to the arena, like our main atrium, where like 80%, 90% of the fans and guests come through that entrance, that floor wasn't looking the way we wanted it to. So NASCO, with some of their other vendors that they use for floor care, came out the night before we opened and was polishing the terrazzo to make sure it shined and looked as well as it needed to prior to opening for our first concert. So it doesn't matter how big or small you are. I think they treat you generally as a person with problems, and they help to try to find those solutions.
Are there other qualities or services a facility manager should look for when they are looking for a strong distributor?
Um, I would say innovation too. As companies in the world switch to, AI is one thing, but also like autonomous scrubbers is a new thing that's on the market, or it's been fairly newer on the market. NASCO provides those, and they'll work with you within your budgetary restraints as well and figure out a solution on, how do we break this up? And if it's not one large payment, can it be smaller, monthly payments and things like that? With NASCO, I don't have to go looking for other options. They're able to find those solutions, um, be innovative on the forefront of what's coming out that's new, um, and then present that to me. Like we had an issue with cordless vacuums. Um, they could have said no, you paid for them, and that's your problem now. It's not our problem. Or but they didn't look at what happened is one of the lithium batteries overheated and kind of spontaneously combusted um, during a load-in of a concert. So once we figured out what had happened and all the dust was settled, they said, yes, we'll take them back. We're going to credit you the value of all those vacuums, the chargers, the batteries. And I was able to actually pick out the replacements that I wanted based on the credit they were able to provide me. And then they worked behind the scenes with the manufacturers to then, make things right on their end, but they wanted to make sure I was whole and set based on my needs of vacuuming carpet throughout the building. But that just led to an opportunity to really work and build that relationship a little bit stronger.
So let's say that you are a facility manager and you're kind of embarking on this journey of finding a distributor. What are those like key questions to ask before deciding to form a partnership?
Um, I think the big thing is have your information ready on how you operate your building, what kind of paper you use, what kind of trash liners and sizes you use. Knowing your business and going out and being confident with the information that you've researched or you've gathered makes you stronger and makes you knowledgeable to then have those conversations with vendors and suppliers. Um, that way you don't feel maybe you're being taken advantage of or you're not um, in a strong position, I guess is the way I look at it. Sometimes you don't know what you don't know. I think that's understandable, but like their job is to then figure out what missing link are you not presenting or you haven't thought about. Um, I've always challenged my vendors like bring something to the table that I haven't thought about or find me a solution that I even haven't even looked at to solve yet.
What efforts then are needed from both parties to ensure that the partnership remains productive over time?
I think it's a shared interest and obviously vested uh, success. I guess if that makes sense. We're both vested into the success of that my location. And Fiserv Forum, obviously it's behind me in my background, but I also have the training facility. We have an event space across the plaza that's called Gather that I oversee for cleanliness. Um, and also our beer garden and plaza space has bathrooms. So I oversee about 5 locations within the Deer District, and so they will deliver here or across the street at the practice facility, but they um, have a vested interest in what's going on downtown in the Deer District, um, what's new, what's coming forth. And they want to make sure like I have the tools, equipment, and supplies to be successful. Um, so I think that's where that investment comes from them and a shared responsibility of success. Because if I don't have the tools and equipment that I need when I need them, or at least in a reasonable time, I'm gonna go find somebody else that can.
Is there a key defining trait of NASCO that maybe we haven't mentioned yet that keeps you local or loyal, keeps you going back?
I think you gave it away where they are local. And that they're approachable. They all have a vested interest to make sure like I'm successful and we're working together to achieve our goals. My goal is always to make sure we're as clean as possible to be show ready for an event. Even if it's like today we don't have an event, we should be able to have tours and people come in and see the building and it's not disheveled and out of sorts. So we're trying to like maintain the lifespan of the building, and NASCO does that by providing the tools, equipment, and supplies. They're local. Um, they communicate. They're vested. That's the true core foundation of how the agreement came across. It's, hey, they can do this. We need this. Okay, how do we work together to then um, build and develop this relationship?
Is there any other advice you would give, particularly in looking to improve their relationships with the distributor partners?
Truthfully, I've been on the other end where it's rocky, and you may not have that um, go-to person. Like it comes down to reliability. If you have issues, like set that meeting up and have that conversation with the right people and the right people that are invested. Um, hey, I'm having issues with you delivering in a timely fashion. I ordered on Monday. I don't want to call on Wednesday to find out that I'm going to get my delivery on Friday. It shouldn't always feel one-sided. I don't think thinking that I'm going to dictate things isn't fair to NASCO or any other company, but it goes the other way as well. They're not going to force anything towards me just to make a sale. It's that's not their approach. But like I try to be open and honest. I think that's another one. That's just honesty within um, our businesses. And if you have that, then you can kind of you're able to have better conversations on where things are going or how things are going. Um, like the vacuum cleaners. If we didn't have that good foundation, I probably wouldn't have had the solution be as successful because we might have been like stuck between a rock and a hard place versus no, we can make this right and this is the right thing to do. So having that integrity and that value behind that conversation is crucial.